y'all, I'm Alex. Today I'm going to go over some tips on how you can improve your back kick for sparring. Now let's get started. Alright, so the very first tip is super simple. You need to make sure that you spot your target. You got to look where you're kicking. So when you turn around, make sure that you peek over your shoulder without over-rotating, spot your target before you throw your back kick or any spinning kick in general. Now, going on to the next thing, over-rotating. You have to make sure you don't over-rotate. Don't let your shoulders fly, don't let your hips open up to the target, because there's 4 different things that can happen if you over-rotate. One is if you come out here and you pick your knee up wide, you over-rotate, it turns into a really wide turning side kick. And that means that your knees coming out super wide. You want to make sure that you keep your knees nice and in tight versus coming out real wide like this. The second thing that can happen is you're going to turn, over-rotate, and then it turns into a turning front push kick. This is definitely not a back kick, so make sure you keep your shoulders back. Don't let them fly open. Don't let your hips square up to your target either. Now, the third thing that can happen, you're going to spin really wide, and then it turns more into like a spinning hook kick almost, where you're coming more here. You definitely don't want to do that if your goal is to do a back kick. And then the last thing that can happen if you over-rotate is you're going to spin. You miss the whole target completely, okay? So it's very important not to let your shoulder fly, not to let your hips open up. You want to make sure you keep everything pretty much facing away from whatever you're kicking or whatever opponent that you're kicking at. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is your feet. You don't want to think, a lot of people, if you're throwing like a counter back kick or a jumping back kick, it looks more like this. A lot of people think it should be more like that, where you're actually jumping, really leaving the ground. What you really want to do, stay nice and in tight, and watch my feet. Switch motion. You don't want to think of coming off the ground and jumping. You want to think of staying small, switching your feet, staying in place, especially for a counter motion. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is impact. You want to think of your counter back kick more of like a uppercut. This motion, where you're coming more up, sharp, nice and in tight. You don't want to think of pushing and extending like this. That's not going to be as good. You want it to be nice, sharp, and in tight, not more of a pushing motion like that. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to let me know what sparring tips you want to see next in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like us on Facebook, and follow me on Instagram. I'll see you guys later.